All right, here we are on this Wednesday. It's April the 10th, 7:41 now the time. And once we get to the middle of the week and it's past 7:30, get through our news, weather, and sports. We like to have a little segment we call Coffee with a Councillor, where we welcome somebody from around the Kamloops City Council table to join us and speak to some city business. And this week, it's my guest right now, Councillor Bill Sarai. Councillor, good morning. How are you here today?
Good morning. How are you, Jeff?
Not too bad. I appreciate you taking some time to join us. I'll just start maybe a little overall look back to yesterday in terms of the way things operated, because there was some unknowns based on what's happened the last number of weeks. We know it's been I'll call it a bit of a whirlwind in terms of city politics. Did you expect things to go as quickly and as smoothly as they appeared to go yesterday, at least from the outside?
To be honest, I didn't know what to expect yesterday. Going to City Hall in the morning and having our meeting in the morning and in City Council at 1:30. To be honest with you, I had no idea which way it was going to go, and I was very pleased to see that we got the city's business done without any controversy or any sideshows, and that's the way I think all the council left there last night after the public hearing, saying this is the way the business should be done as a city on behalf of the taxpayers.
Yeah, and I also, you looked at the mayor's report that he unveiled. It was a very short and quick little speech that he gave, and of course there was a quick retort there from Kamloops Councillor Katie Newstader. He was watching that thinking, man, we could see a real blow up here, and it just didn't happen, which is probably a good thing. We don't need to be seeing council chambers sort of be the place for arguments, right? And I think a lot of people might look to it and say, all right, this is where it's going to take place. We're going to see a battle royale, so to speak, that might happen. I know that's not probably what you want to be promoting things as, but you know what I mean? It's not really a public forum conversation necessarily.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate it's gotten to that point that the public or certain members of the public actually want to see something like that. And you're absolutely right. The municipal governments throughout the province and across Canada, a lot of members agree to disagree. And there's some loud debates and discussions, but they shouldn't be happening in council chambers. And unfortunately, this term, with this makeup, it's happened more than once, and I hope we can put it behind us.
Yeah, and I will ask one more question here on this whole situation. I mean, where are council right now, just as a group collectively, including the mayor himself? I mean, we're looking at what's happening here with regards to some legal concerns about confidential materials being distributed to some media and the issues that might come from a legal perspective. And I know I've already had a call that came in basically saying, look, are we going to be spending money on lawsuits instead of doing things like building a performing arts center or other stuff? And not that those things are necessarily connected, but anytime we see taxpayer dollars be used for something that's not necessarily benefiting the city, obviously you have to take care of your legal obligations here, but that's not going to help the taxpayers. Yeah,
and then like Councillor Riley said, there's a potential there, and we have to be responsible for the taxpayers of Kamloops, and we're doing our due diligence as a council to protect the city and the taxpayers on any exposure we have. And when you have a mayor suspending a senior officer with, as we see it, no just cause, it's been almost 2 weeks, that could have really put us in a really tough position. And, I think the mayor still has an opportunity to explain to council why he did that and what evidence he had to do it, whether we support it as a suspension, a short suspension, a long suspension, a termination, or we rescind it like we did. We still haven't got any information on why he did that, and that is really concerning to myself and council that could this happen again and open up the city to legal issues, and we don't want that to happen. So we're protecting our employees till we hear evidence that there was some wrongdoing, and we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, that's where I've been on this whole thing as well personally. It's not even like, how can I have an opinion of being for something or against something without knowing the reasoning behind why the decision was made? I was hoping we would hear a little bit more on that yesterday, but it was chosen not to divulge that information, so I guess we'll just have to wait for another date. But it is hard to take a side when you don't really know the details and the inner workings of why things are happening. So I will leave that there for now, because this conversation situation is unfortunately not going to be going away. I don't think anytime soon, no matter how much you want it to. I did want to just ask a little bit about yesterday's meeting. It was a pretty quick one, as you had mentioned, wrapped up by just after 3 o'clock, 3:30, somewhere in there, which, is a good thing. You were able to get out of the chambers and recharge before the public meeting. But outside of this stuff that we've already covered, was there anything that really was exciting for you at the meeting? I saw some development permits, but nothing that really jumped off the page.
No, actually, there's millions of dollars worth of projects that are going forward to public hearings. The big hotel or the small hotel in Valley View, that's going to be public hearing for redevelopment in that corridor there. That's huge. And up on public hearing last night, Ron Mundy's Coast Hotel, and the one beside it is going back to being a hotel instead of market housing. And we applaud people like Ron Mundy. They're going back to the roots, what they're really good at doing. And he explained last night, they pivoted when COVID hit. The hotels were empty. No one was traveling. And he said, after a few years of getting into the project, all of a sudden, COVID sort of disappeared, basically, and people are traveling. And he said it was really refreshing a few years ago to actually families coming in and into the coast and babies crying. And he was going, you know what? Maybe I need to rethink of what I'm good at. I'm not good at market housing and rental. I'm not a rental person. Maybe I'll go and turn this back into a hotel application. And that's what he did last night. And it's things like that excite us. And we know we're on the right track when people are building $1 million worth of accommodations and residential units. That tells me we're on the right track. And I think we also had the presentation from the chamber. They got over 720 members, and they've got 106 new members to the chamber. And those are signals to city council that our city is on the right track, and we're attracting new businesses. We're not losing them.
Did you have any concern about, just to follow up on the hotel piece? I mean, there's nothing, like, if you're a business owner, you get to do what you want with your business. So this isn't anything against the business owner themselves. But, when you see market housing being taken away and turned into, to the accommodation sector, to hotels instead, I mean, we talk a lot about a lack of housing here and the issues we have around housing in our communities and right across this province. I mean, do you have, as a council, have concern about seeing market housing, I guess, kind of taken off the market?
Well, in that corridor, it's hotel row. Everything up there is hotel. So, personally speaking, in my opinion, it wasn't geared for families. There's no school nearby. There's not much other to do than being a tourist and staying overnight. And whether you're here for sightseeing or hockey or baseball or soccer, everything up there is geared to tourists. So, in hindsight, for me personally, I'm glad I went back to hotel because I just don't see a family or a working couple having the amenities that they would desire to be up there. There's not much you can do as a resident, but there's enough to do as a tourist for 2 nights sleep or a 3 night sleep. But I think it would be a tough location for residential full time.
Here with Kamloops City Councillor Bill Sarai. All right, I wanted to also look ahead because one of the things that I know was sort of on the agenda last night. It wasn't for discussion. It was just sort of previewing what's coming up sooner or later on this month, and that is a presentation from Build Kamloops. I'm really intrigued to see where this is going. I believe there's some public consultation that is still going on as well, and I can never remember which part of the or subcommittee you might be on. I keep losing track of all the names on each one, but yeah. Curious to know, like, sort of what you are hoping to see when the next sort of round of updates comes from Build Kamloops. I've been having a lot of conversations about the behind the scenes stuff, and I've said to pretty much every councillor that I've had this conversation with, like, I know stuff's happening, but man, it is hard to believe it when we know that this group has been together for a while and we haven't really seen a whole lot of updates from them.
Yeah, I'm actually chairing the engagement group, which sits down with all the user groups in the city, from minor hockey to the soccer, KYSA, to the skate, figure skating, that and the curlers, pickleball. So there's some exciting times coming, and I was deputy mayor just this weekend at the Kamloops Sports Hall of Fame Awards night. And when you look at the amenities that we've not built here in 20 years, TCC and Sandman Center is the last pieces of infrastructure we built to help our athletes. And when you see the Logan Stankovans that need a place to take their 100 shots every morning, and what's the other athlete locally that Kendra Woodland is an amazing athlete. We got Maddie Gobeil that needs a place to take her 3-point shots every morning and be stars in their respective sports. We need to build those infrastructures so we can produce the athletes and the community that we envision as a tournament capital. The coaches, the volunteers, the referees. This town is known for exceptional athletes in all different sports. Dylan Armstrong, and list could go on and on. And so I understand that everything's not happening as fast as everybody wants to see and hear, but I can assure you that in the background, we're all working really hard to make sure all the groups are included, they have their say in it, and what they want to see in these buildings. And again, these aren't going to be standalone buildings. They're going to be, hopefully, what we're projecting is multi-use buildings, so we can put more than one sport or one type of amenity in that building, so we can start checking off the boxes that we're not, as you know, we don't have a lot of land in Kamloops. We're surrounded by 2 mountains and a couple of railways and 2 rivers. So we got to really make a good effort of utilizing the land that we have available, or we have to look at to make sure there's more than one piece of use on that building, on that land.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess just a final piece on that is the update that's going to be coming. Is there any opportunity for more public engagement? Obviously, you're speaking with individual user groups and trying to make sure they're all a part of the process, seeing what the biggest needs are, how they can all work together. Just outside of those groups, is there a chance for other members of the public to weigh in? Because you're part of that engagement group, so this falls under your umbrella here.
Absolutely. You know, there's a Let's Talk page that we can have the Build Kamloops conversation. All our emails are available online. Feel free to reach out to us. And what we're trying to do here, we're not trying to circumvent the individual resident of having an opinion. Absolutely. What we're hoping to do is having the heads of the association that represent the thousands of members that they have, or the hundreds of members they have, that what do they want to see for their membership? What do they want to see moving forward? What kind of space do they need? What kind of parking do they need? What's their demographics? Is it indoor? Is it outdoor? And that's where it makes our job a little bit easier, knowing that the people at the table that are in the engagement group are representing thousands of users in their respective sports or arts and culture. So we know that we're getting the pulse of that piece of recreation, and we're addressing it.
Last question for you, and I have to ask it, or else Victor Kaiser will get mad at me. He wants me to know a little bit about the $1.8 million in provincial funding for taxiway rehabilitation. What's sort of happening there? I know this grant application goes back to November, I believe, of last year. So now we're sitting here in April. Looks like that money is going to be coming forward to do some work at the airport. What can people expect, or do we know what people can expect? Obviously, you're with the Airport Authority here, or Airport Society, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm the president of the airport. Yeah, absolutely. It's a runway rehabilitation taxiway, and it's vital to bringing in our cargo. And it's a safety concern that we identified last year, and we're really thrilled to find out that we got $1.8 million from the province for this grant. And it helps. And this is one of the partnerships that Vantage and the Kamloops Airport Society has. Vantage is restricted to how they can apply for funding, but we as a local government and the society can apply for funding, and working together, the improvements of the airport help everybody, and that's where our 50% of the revenue goes back to, the improvements of the airport. And this is one of those wins that we look forward to, almost, continues looking for funding sources and grants to help our airport not only be viable but compete with the other ones. And slowly but surely we'll get there, especially with the rezone application for the development lands I went through. There's going to be some exciting times out at the airport. The face of the airport is going to change. It's going to look like a really first-class business center as you enter Airport Road off of Trunk Hill. So I'm looking forward to that for the next 5-10 years of development, and it's going to grow as Kamloops grows.
Well, is there going to be much disruption as a result? Do you have any idea? It might be a better Ed Ratuski question, but while I have you.
You know what? I don't think there'll be much disruption because it'll be on the lands. The road will still be accessible. I think that'll be the last piece. There's no point putting in a brand new road and then beating it up with trucks and heavy equipment. There should be no disruption. But again, as everybody knows, when there's construction going on at any place, whether it's downtown in that is give yourself enough time, put in an extra 20 minutes or half an hour if you know there's going to be some delays for traffic. That isn't just for the airport. That the city would request that anywhere we're doing any major capital work, that please give yourself some extra time to get to where you're going because of that.
Well, when you mentioned downtown construction, you're making me want to bring up Lansdowne Street and the mess we're probably expecting there, but I'll save that for another time, Bill. Thank you so much for joining me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for this, and you have yourself a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll definitely catch up with you, hopefully not too far down the road.
You as well, Jeff. Thank you.
Awesome.